Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you are joining in the world. We are very excited to have you all today for this new episode of the fundraising masterclass that we are doing with Black Fox Global. As you already seen, we have Natalie here as an amazing presenter that she is. And for those who don't know her, she is the founder and CEO of Black Fox Global, a certified B corporation that partners with NGOs to turn fundraising into a disciplined engine for growth. For Black Fox Global equips mission-driven organizations with the system, strategy, and storytelling needed to unlock resources and achieve lasting impact. In this masterclass, Natalie will share her board retreat in a box framework, a practical, proven way to transform apprehension about fundraising into confidence, teamwork, and momentum. Please welcome Natalie with all the love she deserves, and we hope you enjoy the session and learn as much as possible. Natalie, over to you.
Amazing. Thank you, Cindy. And thank you to the Catalyst Now for hosting this masterclass series on your platform. It is such a vibrant community, and being connected to each other and learning from each other is vital in these very strange times. So welcome everyone, and thank you for joining in. This series is a core part of our sector citizenship and leading the way for an open source sector, because now is not the time to keep hard-won expertise close to our chest. It's important that I think the sector share out their knowledge and collaboration. And in the spirit of that, today you're going to leave with a complete plug and play retreat. You can run with your board. It can also be run with teams as well. So I'll share the structure, give you exact language in some cases, and provide handouts that'll guide your success. There's a lot to cover. This is the most content-rich masterclass I've taught yet, because it's weaving in so many modules. So including much of what I've been teaching this past year, and team members from Black Fox Global have been teaching as well. But here it's organized into a framework that equips you to run a high impact board fundraising retreat. I'll also share that I'm not sure there's going to be time for Q&A today, but our next session on October 28th is Ask a Black Fox Expert. So if you do have questions, maybe we'll have time. I'm going to try to get through this at a pretty good clip, but if not, save them for October 28th. We're going to have folks from our research team, comms team, advancement outreach. Advancement outreach folks are the ones who become embedded part of your team to advance funder relationships directly, so you can spend your time being funder facing. But also love to teach their methodology to secure those meetings. So it's an amazing collective of experts, to say the least. So onward. So I nicknamed this session Board Retreat in a Box, because I really wanted to equip you in a way that we're all so flat out, we're all so busy. Pre-COVID, I was doing these retreats a fair amount, and just wanted to put them all into one framework. As I said, we're open source. And so when I stop doing something, I make a particular point of making it available to the sector and just kind of downloading all of my knowledge, all of the frameworks, everything I've developed over the years. So this is kind of a encapsulation of that. And so I won't go through this whole slide, because you'll get a sense just from skimming what I've created for you today. And so we'll go to the next slide. And this is a sample run of show. So there's welcome and grounding. You want to set norms. You want to create safety. Also icebreaker, snowball fight. I'll talk a little bit more about that, but something that's going to be an energizer for the room as you kick off the day. And as well, this is about a 4 or 5 hour retreat. Normally I would run it in 4 or 5 hours. But it depended upon what the pre-survey results were from the board. So in some cases it would be longer, because I would be leaning into some edges of a particular board, and in others it would be shorter because the board was already a fundraising board and just needed refinements and tools and just a bit more rocket fuel. And so there's pre-survey highlights. I'm going to give resources to all of these. You'll see on the slide I embedded resources, but we'll also, after the session, be sharing out all all of these resources. It's a lot. It's a lot. But the pre-survey, I created a template for you. And this is really, really, really valuable to take a pulse of where your board is in terms of their fundraising comfort, capacity, skills, and more. And it also really helps center the retreat in a way that they know it's being mapped to them and meeting them where they are, and that they were heard and seen, and that the day is going to be really crafted around what the board and what the mission needs most. There's board self-ID. I've done this a couple of times with Catalyst Now in the past, and these are archetypes, especially with boards. What I found when I first developed this, gosh, over 10 years ago now, more than that, is I was on the board of an big institution, and what I found was a number of folks were hiding under the table when it came to talking about fundraising, which was my portion. And so for me to stand in the front room and just people want to shut down or hide, I realized that in fact it was more the nurturers, the people who just really didn't want to ask for money, didn't know how to ask for money, really contracted, that made up that subset. And so I realized there's so much gold in loving your funders. And so the nurturers have an incredible role. So I created a framework for all the archetypes, but mainly to set the nurturers free. The good news is the askers, the connectors, self-identifying, not if you're a fundraiser, but how you're a fundraiser, really helps unlock the board retreat as well, because people aren't being asked to step out of their comfort zone. You're going to meet them where they are, and it takes the walls down a bit so that they can receive the training. They're not contracted, they're not closed. It's more, oh, this is how I'm a fundraiser. And maybe there's some edges there, and callings call for us to grow into them. And so maybe it's good to be on the edge of those edges. However, really understanding the native genius they're bringing to the mission and to fundraising. Crafting your why. This is a really important piece. We'll dive into a little bit more. Why is this work uniquely yours to do? What's great about this? Actually, you know what? Let's go to the next slide, because I'll expand more on each and every one. But you see the framework, and you're going to be handed this entire framework. So the icebreaker is, okay, the way I love to do this when they're in person is a snowball fight. And so basically it's a way to energize the room. It breaks tension, it energizes the group, it gets people laughing, moving, connecting on a personal level. It's very unexpected. And so what it basically is I take a series of questions. Actually, Chloe, if you could click on the resource Snowball Fight and questions, you'll see what I mean. So what you do is for each piece, for every, you take a piece of paper and then just scroll down to all the questions. You see, I even wrote a facilitator script for y'all. You can see, so one question per piece of paper, and they don't know there's a question in there, but when they do come into the board retreat, they see a bunch of snowballs. They see a bunch of papers rolled up at the beginning, at the table. And so you can see all these questions. They're meant to be personal, be light, be a way to get to see each other, know each other a bit. And so, Kami, we can go back to the slide. But I wanted to share that with you because it really sets the tone of play, trust, and openness. And also it's super high energy. So as the facilitator, you're going to kick it off with just, snowball fight. Like I said, there's the script in there, but just like setting the stage and then snowball fight. And then you just like nailing people 2, 3, 4 and get people running. And hopefully, have a few plants in the room as well, maybe from the staff who are also just like getting in there and just start like slamming each other with snowballs. It's super fun. And then after about a minute or 90 seconds or so, people just stop. You stop everyone. They open the piece of paper, not realizing there was a question there. And that's the reveal. Then everyone popcorns around sharing something, just a little nugget about themselves. So kind of taking off the mask of board member and getting them engaged in a really fun way. So let's go to the next slide. The pre-retreat survey. Yeah, so I touched upon this. This is, oh, you know what? Maybe make me not a co-host because I'm getting all of the folks who are coming in on my screen. It's like popcorn, but it's a little distracting. So let's see. Yeah, so the pre-retreat survey, there's a number of questions that really help center the retreat. And so this is going to help you design it. And so Comey, if you can click on that resource, we'll just scroll through it real quick so you can see what we'll be sharing with you afterwards. So they're going to share what their skill level is. They're going to share what their board service experience is, their motivation, their priorities. Also, is your organization their top funded priority? If not, that's really interesting to know because it's something you can talk about. These are meant to be anonymous, although in a smaller board, pretty much we know who's who. But it does give a chance to understand the board, where they are in their fundraising journey, and map the fundraising retreat to it. So if you just scroll down to the rest of it, is that it? Fundraising engagement. Yeah, so this really helps you get the pulse of the entire board and where they are in their fundraising journey. So thank you, Comey. And we'll go back to the slide. And yeah, and so it starts with the board's own voices and it ensures the retreat begins in alignment, honesty, and also you can pull out nuggets that were shared on those forms, just kind of reflecting them back to them. So that is the pre-retreat survey, and we'll go to the next slide. Board self-ID. So as I said, I shared the story about nurturers. And so this is a way to, at the outset of the, yes, you will get a link to the slideshow. You'll get everything. Sorry, chat is popping up too. I should probably fix that. Anyway, okay. So this is basically discovering what your board's native genius is. And the truth is we're all of the archetypes. So there's archetypes. Actually, let's go to the next slide and I'll talk a bit about the archetypes. So Comey, if we could go, voila. Yeah, so with the archetypes, you can see there's the asker, there's the connector, there's the nurturer. We're all three types to some degree. Some lean more toward connector, some lean more toward that bold asker. And so what I've done is I've not only created a framework for the archetypes for people to self-ID. And it was important for me to make it a self ID because then they're self identifying how they're a fundraiser. It's not something being imposed upon them. And then I also give a lot of language, a lot of choreography around just language about how would an asker approach a funder. So it really helps them self identify who they are as a fundraiser, and also just some language for the more bold. Also for connectors, there's language there as well. The nurturers in particular, just as I said, there's so much gold in loving your funders. And so just really wanted to share that as well, and giving beautiful language. And so let's go back to the slide prior, Comey, please. Great. And then, so there's the resource, The Art of Engaging Your Networks. This is a full blog post. And then, Comey, if we could click on the self-ID exercise, I want to show the exact process. And so we just ask folks to name their dominant type. You can just scroll down. And so even with the asker, or we'll actually stop there and I'll use the connector. So I reflect back, like, where do you identify in terms of your personality? And these are all really complementary. These are all just, I mean, every single one of the archetypes at their best are amazing fundraisers. So this is kind of a personality profile that I extrapolated from the Enneagram, which is it's not really a personality. Maybe I could reduce it into calling it a personality profile, but it's genius. So anyway, I extrapolated this based upon the Enneagram. And so you can see there's a lot of ways that they can reflect back. Now, there's examples of folks as well. Just again, it's sort of that, oh, I self-identify as close to this person or close to that person. And now they're feeling good about how they're a fundraiser. And so We will click back to the slides now. And we'll get even more granular on this in action, because with the self ID, I also give language um, around how the choreography can go. That slide there just gave 2 nuggets. I actually wrote a much longer one. So in the resource, The Art of Engaging Your Networks, that's a blog post, that's a written guide. And so that's going to take you through it much, much more. And so, oh, okay. Oh, great, Cindy. Yeah, if you guys want to drop these, yeah, good idea. Drop the blog posts in the chat. But I will say you're going to get all of these in one document. But if you're curious just to scroll through now, please feel free. Obviously, this is recorded, so you can refer back to this as many times as you need. And of course, ask an expert in October. I'm happy to answer questions then as well if we don't have time at the end of today. And so with that, let's go to the next slide. I think we've 2 slides actually. Yeah, 2 slides. Super. So this is the next module. And it's the next module designed, the placement's here on purpose. And so crafting your why, there's an organizational why, there's an overarching narrative about why your work exists and what you exist to solve. However, everyone in that board meeting or everyone on your team, your staff, they all have a personal reason about why they care about the mission. And so, yes, it's important that everyone's singing from the same sheet of music to do with the organization, an engagement pitch or elevator pitch, if you will. But your own personal why is really powerful when you're engaging new funders. They want to know this is uniquely yours to do, that you're on this journey together. And so I created this in a way to create amazing openers. And this was created years ago because we had an amazing client who was an intellectual giant, very, very data driven. And yet, no matter how many funder meetings we set up, it wasn't getting over the finish line. And so I created these questions. Actually, let's click on related resources, which is the form. And you can see all the questions. Now, in his case, I did an interview. But then I designed it around just for the sector open source so that you all could do it self, or when I was doing board retreats, or for that you guys can do it as well. And so if you scroll down, you can see the questions are like what I find most compelling about our mission, why that matters, what makes our organization mission worthy and deserving of significant funding is. So it helps folks really crystallize their thinking about the mission. And when I imagine the world without this mission, what's missing? Now, we can stop there, call me please. So the personal why is where it gets really, really juicy. And I also want to name that for board meetings, for board retreats, we all know we're around the boardroom table, but we don't know what led each and every one there. So for SDG 5, women and girls, like our deepest passions can spring from our deepest wounds. So I am a fierce advocate for equality. And so the mission is personally significant to me because I have lived experience of being a girl in this culture, being in a so allowing myself to be seen to the extent that I feel safe, it gives me the opportunity to share my heart of why I'm in that room, why I'm deeply engaged, why I commit to the hours, why I commit to the financial commitment, all of those things. Scroll down to some more personal whys. There's a number of ones that I created. Like, in fact, there's one, sorry for the men, but for the dudes, I created like who couldn't get access to their vulnerability or their heart. There's a question around like what really frustrates me about X, because they had access to frustration, they had access to anger. What I'm most proud of, what's most exciting, the story of impact that most touch my heart. And these are great for all askers, connectors, nurturers. Nurturers in particular, the story of impact that most touches my heart is such a great one. Let's scroll down a bit more, please. Um, Here we go. Yeah, what keeps me going. Then there's a bridging to funders one. segment that I just added in preparation for this board retreat in a box, which I didn't think about this years ago, but just kind of creating language to be able to bring the funder into the conversation. Because the idea of this is to create sacred space where the funder can then lean in about, this is why I care about the mission. So you really want to be able to hold space for that in safety. And it is sacred. And I know, especially around SDG 5 women and girls, it's like going down a slip and slide of depth when I'm able to be in conversation with other funders who care as deeply as I do about that mission. And so the depth of connection is really, really powerful, and it creates extraordinary rapport. And you really get to hear stories of incredible beauty, or also stories of, I was given so much and this is my opportunity to give back. So there's also, gratitude could be a reason why they're in the room. So the board is getting to know each other in really deeper ways. So the connectivity of the board can be so much deeper and richer, but you're also equipping the board to then go out and use these nuggets in a way that they can engage funders. So it works at galas. It's amazing. And when you're sitting down in meetings, in waiting for coffee in a coffee shop, or whatever the case may be, you have them available to you. And it also helps board members and you, I mean, you're running this as well, and you're deep in the mission as well. It really helps you connect or reconnect to why this work really matters to you. I know after being on a board for 2 or 3 years, and it can start to be a slug, or it can be complicated or political, kind of touching back into the original, why it matters and why it's uniquely yours to do, can be incredibly re-energizing. And that's very important when you're asking folks to go out and engage in their networks, or go out and join you on fundraising meetings and things along those lines. So I wanted to share that. And as well, I know you're going to be getting the blog post as well, which is more step-by-step guidance. I've designed everything to be as plug and play as possible, including putting words in your mouth. Obviously, massage them to make them your own. But I wanted to give you a huge head start because everyone is so flat out right now. Although we've been flat out for years, just more so this year. All right, let's hop back to the slides, Kobe. Thank you. Voila. And great. And let's go to, oh, I'm going at a good clip. We might have Q&A. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, so the next module in the board retreat is leading the donor dance. And I've taught this through Catalyst Now and other platforms in the past. For a board retreat, this, depending upon the board survey that comes back, you might have an amazing group of board members who are already fundraisers, and you may discover that you have a lot of askers. And so leading the donor dance is a choreography for askers to be able to uncover from a funder in a very flowing way what it is that what it would need to look like to engage that funder in any number of ways. Financial is just one of them. So it's the curiosity, it's the discovery step, it's leading with questions, it's ensuring the funder is doing 70% of the talking. Your role is really to ask questions, listen deeply, and respond elegantly based upon what you've discovered. Or I wrote what they've discovered, but it's what you've discovered through this, because the invitation step is actually mapping to what they've shared. But you want to be able to make an informed ask, and this choreography is designed to where that informed ask is informed by the funder themselves. And it can be such a gorgeous and affirming way to connect with funders. It's not a pitch. The pitch is dead. We all know that. It's gathering insight, building rapport, and learning what it takes to truly engage the funder. And this is super fun. So what you can do with leading the donor dance is you can put it into AI, put that guide into AI, do a profile of your funder prospect, and put it into AI and say, create the meeting flow based upon leading the donor dance, create the choreography for a 60-minute meeting based upon this framework of leading the donor dance. And AI will actually suggest for you an entire choreography. And of course, you're going to tweak it. You're going to make sure that it's really mapping to that funder, but it gives you a massive, massive head start. And it's really cool to see this framework. I have to tell, I used to do these by hand, like it took 5 hours where I would prepare a client to be in a very high stakes funder meeting. It would be literally 4 or 5 hours of getting it just right, getting my research just right, all the things. The choreography was so, again, a work of art. I just put so much heart and soul into it. And so today to be able to go, oh, here's the funder profile, here's the website, here's what we know about them, here's some other insights, here's who else they fund, all the things that our researchers uncover in our painless prospecting survey service. We just like upload all of that, put it in that framework, and it's incredible how your prep time is cut down so much, and you show up in that meeting with so much ability to lead that dance in a way that's going to have an optimal outcome. And yeah, so I'm really excited to be able to share that in the age of AI as well. And so as I said, this is one module you may just be skimming over, not really doing bigger deep dives with boards, only because you as the professional fundraiser are really going to be the ones who want to lead the donor dance. So for all of you leaders who are here, this is a resource for you, but you can use it for the board as well. Okay, let's hop to the next slide. Oh, gives me a chance to breathe. A little delay. Good. Okay, so let me take a sip. Mm-mm-mm. So, strengthening funder relationships. This is where you're probably going to be spending a bit more time. This module is about board members connecting deeply with existing funders. So, while you have a stewardship plan already, and you're working with those funders in a deeply meaningful way, to bring in a board member, a nurture, any board member, but a nurturer in particular, to be able to bring them in and bring their native genius, their fundraising superpower in is really gorgeous. So basically, you're wanting to make the funder thought partners, check the relationship health, build confidence, ensure that funders feel great about their giving, discern how they might engage even more deeply. And so let's hop on the rapport and connection. Let's go ahead and hop to that blog post. That's the full guide, and we'll scroll down. This has been updated. There was 2020 written on there, but it's actually been updated through the years, including up-leveled again. So you'll see the choreography: leading with gratitude, ensure the funder feels seen, loved, appreciated, important, ensure the donor feels confident in their investment and poised to make more significant investments moving forward, uncover uh, potential for engagement other than funding. And so here we'll scroll down a bit more. And you can see there's a whole choreography, and including like suggested language to really get the conversation going by being funder centric. Like for the funder would say, we've been prioritizing climate resilience in our portfolio. What was the turning point that made climate resilience rise to the top for you? Or just some kind of language of like heading them talking, getting them, helping to understand their heart, their priorities, their neck up reasoning of why it matters. We'll scroll down a bit more. So you can see, actually, we can scroll down just a bit slow. I won't go over by module, but you can see some of the questions. They're really tailored to uncover the funder's heart, why they care, why they engaged in the first place, why they're still engaged, what it would need to look like to deepen their engagement beyond financial, um, and and also next steps if there is something along the lines of uh, an additional ask beyond the just deepening the relationship and the depth of stewardship. You can elegantly, if it's appropriate, um, do questions, and you can also pull from leading the donor dance for this way, like um, if you were to consider a transformational gift of X, what would you need to know to feel confident saying yes? So again, giving you language, make it your own, but wanting to give you a huge head start and a framework to up the odds of deeper engagement financially, or as board members, or as hosting a gathering, whatever the case may be. So we'll hop back to the slide. Great. And also under related resources, let's click on the funder profile form. So back in the day, I used to do third-party profiles. And so I was using the framework of strengthening funder relationships as a third-party consultant, because it's amazing what folks will tell you when you're the third party. But then, of course, being open source, everything we do, we then turn it around and gift it to the sector. So wanting to equip the sector with the ability to do this. You don't need to be a Black Fox Global to be able to have these funder conversations. But back in the very, very beginning, I was doing funder profiles. So I had the client fill out who's the funder, what's their affiliation. Here we can scroll down a bit. What's their giving history? I wanted as much intel as possible about the funder. Komi, let's scroll down a bit more. Oop. Where else could they engage beyond funding? What's the relationship health? Like a question, like I would ask funders on a scale from 1 to 10, what would, where would you say you are in terms of relationship with this NGO? Oh, I'm a 7. That's a good number. What would it need to look like to be a 9 or a 10? Oh, it would need to look like X, Y, or Z. So I was getting incredible insights, including I would ask, like, depending upon the funder and their capacity, what would it need to look like for you to make $1 million commitment over the arc of the next 6 months to do X? Like, what would it need to look like? So there's a way of framing the question. You're not pigeonholing yourself in any way, but you're just kind of getting the temperature. What would it need to look like? Not asking then and there, but under what circumstances? What would it need to look like? Things along those lines. And it's interesting because the way the brain works is it's not yes, no, it's like, oh, what would it need to look like? Oh, it would need to look like X, Y, and Z. So now they're thinking about $1 million gift, or whatever the appropriate number is, where before they weren't even going in that range. So obviously the funder profile also reveals what your suspected giving capacity is, but again, you want to have this all be informed by the funder themselves. And so these are all things that are going to help you frame the strengthening funder relationship choreography. And so uploading these responses into that framework and having a conversation flow will give you a massive, massive head start. So you can, and you'll get this resource as I share it, so we don't have to go through the whole thing. And we'll hop back to slides. All right, super. And let's go back. There we go. So because this module, this is where a lot of board members are such an incredible asset as fundraisers, I really want to stress that this is absolute gold. Another thing that I discovered through doing those funder profiles years ago was a question I asked. One funder was, what would it need to look like for this organization to really show their gratitude in a way that's going to land? And there was the same client, 2 different funders, same exact amount. One funder responded as, I know they come through my city at least once a year. We like to break bread. We want to have coffee. We want to really get to know our partners in a deep relational way. And so, okay, that's incredible data. Asked another funder, same as I said, same client, same giving amount. How can this organization show their gratitude for a way that would really, really land for you? We're a bare bones team. We don't have time for meetings. We don't have time for anything. Stop asking us to lunch. Stop asking Like, just give us the reports. Give us what I asked and leave us alone. It was like, whoa, okay. So this is incredible information for that client to have, so they don't make a misstep with a funder by assuming that a funder likes to be stewarded in one particular one-size-fits-all way. So I'm not getting granular here, but I do just want to highlight some examples. Another example I've given in the past too is of not pigeonholing yourself is, again, this was years ago. now. But I was at a very, very posh gathering in a city where I was on the board of an organization, and the host was underwriting everything, and it was gorgeous, and the home was exquisite. And so I asked the host, I was like, "This is amazing. This is exquisite. What a gift, for this organization I'm on the board with. What would it need to look like for you to host a gathering like this for this organization?" Said, "Oh, well, it would have to be a gratitude gathering. There can be absolutely no ask. It would have to look like this and this. It can be like a team building. It could be gratitude for funders, but absolutely no ask." So gorgeous. Thank you. Literally 1 week later, I'm at a different home, another staggering home that was literally built for philanthropy. And I was same thing, asked the host, exquisite, amazing, what would it need to look like for you to host something like this for this organization? It would have to be a fundraiser. It would have to be minimum of $100,000 per ask. It would have to look like this, and this. It's like, great, amazing, thank you. And so went back and had two very different events, completely underwritten by these two extraordinary hosts. And why? Because I didn't say to the one, "Hey, will you host a fundraiser here?" Or say to the other one, "Hey, we want to do a gratitude gathering for our funders over here." It was just like, what would it need to look like? So the strengthening funder relationships, leading the donor dance, I give that kind of language to help you really understand the heart, what makes them tick, and then meet them where they are with a proposed partnership that maps to how they think about impact. Okay, so good, thank you. And yeah, let's hop to the next slide. Ooh, going at a good clip. Prospect development, engaging your networks. So this is where the rubber hits the road. So the this is where, while they're energized and they've had lunch and they're all the things, then you want to be able to, while you're in that energy field, be able to bring them the fundraising edges you might be experiencing, or the priority prospects, or what you would like to see happen with the board. And so you can review and rate your top 10, 20 prospects, who has relationships, who has inroads, who doesn't have inroads but feels really confident in approaching different funders that maybe you've not been able to get in the door of. And so, and if your pipeline is thin, there's also these board members bringing in their own networks. And so if we click on the prospect rating form, this is something where, when we used to do pre-COVID, we were really well known for doing launching major gifts programs. And when COVID hit, we pivoted to rapid action, money in the door, deep in institutional funding. And so, so this is really more toward individual high net worth or individual funders. It can be adapted to institutional as well. But I did want to share it because our expertise, we still hold all of the expertise. We're just not the architect of these major gifts programs anymore. We're not running the 90-day quiet phase. We're not running the launches any longer. And yet, we did want to make it available to the sector. Oh, and you know what? One of the resources I didn't add in here because it's, I thought, unrelated, but actually it is. When we stopped doing that, architect and launching major gifts program, I wrote a guide on launching a major gifts program. So that's on our website. I'll try to remember, someone can ping me to add that to the resources document, because if you are ready for a major gifts program, a formal one, and there's lost opportunity costs, so the guide really kind of walks you through all your organizational readiness. But anyway, I wanted to share that this is a way for the individual board members to share their network and also share their dominant style. They're an asker, they're a nurturer, they're a connector. How are they a fundraiser? But this is an opportunity for them to like hunker down while they're in the room, jot out 3 names, or make a commitment to turn it back around within 7 days or within 14 days. You're probably going to have to quarterback folks. That's just the nature of humans. And actually, let's scroll down a bit to the next page. And you'll see like the rating system, the kind of relationship, where you think their capacity is, noting that this isn't informed by the funder, but they're right now they're suspects. They're not really prospects, they're suspects. And as a suspect, then sorry, the chat keeps popping up. Covering things. So yes, so this will kind of just give you a working document so that you are walking away from the board retreat with really actionable, rubber hits the road, we have new funder prospects, or it's a way to part of onboarding new bum. Actually, we can hop back to the slide, Comey. It's also part of onboarding new board members. We have a whole different guide on that that's literally from 2019, so I went back and reviewed it. I added it to the resources document because so much is still relevant. Haven't updated it because, again, we're all flat out. But for onboarding new board members, it's really good to be upfront on what the expectations are. And so that too can be part of the board packet. And so it's not, the board members aren't playing hide and seek around it, around give, get, or any of those things. It's all very, very explicit. So that's in the guide. And I did put that in the resources document. There's not a link here. And all this is also on our website. We have our fundraising handbook, which is massive and getting updated because I did up-level some of the stuff in preparation for you guys today. But also, we're releasing open source content at a much more rapid clip now, just to meet the moment in the sector. And so I'll also be sharing out the link to our open source page. And so you'll be getting that as well. So prospect development, engaging in networks. And let's hop to the next slide. And so at the board retreat, then closing and call to action. So you want to be able to anchor in the retreat, the shared purpose, translate into concrete next steps. So again, here's a bit of a script. But fundraising isn't about carrying the weight alone. It is a team sport, and each of the board members does hold a sacred role in moving the mission forward. And I've said often, my background is in corporate sales, 17 years in corporate America. And then 10 years founding and running my own NGO that I bequeathed to the Denver Art Museum in 2011. And then kind of a longer story, but then started Black Fox Global because my zone of genius was fundraising. And I realized I was far more of service to the sector by resourcing existing organizations that were in pain around fundraising, some level of pain around fundraising, or opportunity to go to the next level of impact and didn't have the resources to get there. So I scrapped my idea for starting another NGO when I realized how much pain folks were in about fundraising. And so what I have often said is fundraising is sales. It is. It's sacred sales. And the thing about sales is some people contract when they think about sales, but callings call for us to grow into them. You've created a framework now for folks to be able to kind of inhabit how they're a fundraiser. And even nurturers are salespeople in those highly relational meetings. And sales at its best is highly relational. Sales at its best is sacred. It's absolutely win-win. And so fundraising as sacred sales is truly one of the most important parts of being on a board. For many folks, it makes them still very uncomfortable. And then it's just okay to name that. Like, this is the part of my role on the board that makes me feel deeply uncomfortable, but I'm going to take a deep breath and do it anyway. And then you make an ask. So even just naming the discomfort gives the board language to be able to make the ask anyway, or reach out to their networks. Like that, I can really identify with that contraction of I don't want to ask my friends. And it's like, you can name that, like, I feel so uncomfortable approaching you, and yet this work is so powerful. And then there's language in leading the donor dance around, what is it about this mission? Like, especially if you know the whole funder profile, like, you care so deeply about, University of Nebraska, $20 million for the sports center. What is it about that inspired that level of giving? And this was actually a real scenario. And so getting that intel of, oh, they think about this and it's leadership and it's all these things. So you're understanding their values. And so again, it's kind of taking it away from like that contracted feeling of, oh God, I have to ask for money. This is sales, to something deeply relational, and help me understand how your heart works, how you think about impact. And is this ours to do together? Let's find out. Let's explore. There isn't a clinging energy to it. It's more of a let's explore this together. And then through that choreography, ideally the outcome is they've discovered a depth of connection to the mission not even they weren't even aware of. So that that closing and call to action is another piece where the rubber hits the road. So let's click on the board fundraising retreat engagement form. So their superpower, ask your connector nurture, their one concrete action. And you guys, you may feel some discomfort doing this. You know your board better than anyone. Adapt it, download it, adapt it, obviously with attribution. Um, put your own letterhead on it, etc. But I'm pretty sure it's everyone has view only, and I think with view only, you can download it. If that's not accurate, we'll fix it. So download it, repurpose it to yourself. Let's scroll down a little bit more, Comey. Yeah, looking ahead. And so these are ways, like if I could do one bigger thing this year to advance fundraising, it would be so also getting open-ended here. So it's giving the board an opportunity to really, really show up for the mission while they're in the energy field of feeling more and more deeply connected to the mission. So let's hop back to the slides. And wow, I clearly had caffeine today because we went through a really, that was a great clip. Let's go to the next slide, because I did share that we're open source. This is part of a 5-part masterclass series, co-hosted with Catalyst Now. Thank you again, Catalyst Now. The first one was late last year. We did another one earlier this year, and I go much, much, much deeper into the self-ID and engaging your networks. And so there's the video on that goes into that choreography, that language, and all of those things. The last one was with funders present, so building strong funder relationships and navigating funding rejections. So informed by the funders themselves, how they think about their giving, and also under what circumstances they would re-engage with a rejected organization. And then, of course, the current one is this one. The recording, the guide, it's not yet available, obviously. Here we are, but it is embedded. All of the resources are embedded there. And then the Q&A on October 28th. So when you do get the slide deck, or I think it's also in chat, to go ahead and register. It would be such a pleasure to ask your questions, field questions to do with research, to do with advancement outreach, which is the service where we take on the email addresses of our clients and secure meetings for our clients so they can be funder facing and not spending the time it takes to even get the funder meetings, but sharing all of that intel. And in fact, that is a big theme of fostering authentic and lasting funder relationships in the first module of the 5-part series. And let's hop to the next slide. And yes, open source. So there's our fundraising handbook. It's way robust. Open source on our webpage. As I said, we're publishing at a much more rapid clip this year to meet the moment. So encourage you to also sign up to get those updates. Black Fox Brief. If you guys don't get Black Fox Brief, I do encourage you to do that. Comey, actually, will you click on Black Fox Brief? We're really proud of this. And the feedback we get for Black Fox Brief as part of our sector citizenship is really powerful. So let's hop down a little bit. Let's click on let's click on anyone. Actually, they're all good. Just click on anyone. Oh, that's a Skull World Forum Special Edition. let's go to a different one. That's all school all the time. Actually, there's sector news as well. Um, but let's go to something a little bit more recent. Yeah, this is the last issue. So you can scroll down and see, again, this is a huge part of our sector citizenship. I'm not going to lie, it's expensive to produce. But the feedback we've gotten from the sector has been so strong about continuing it on as a resource. So just scroll down a little bit more. So for folks who are not yet get Black Fox Brief, we just pivoted to biweekly after a number of survey results came back. And also gave us a chance to breathe a little bit and scroll down. You can keep scrolling down just so people get a flavor of it. So funding trends, practical insights, funding opportunities. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Ta-da, here we are. More resources. And again, and also at the bottom, you'll see we have a curated job boards link, list of fellowships and awards, and also the convenings calendar. And we're going into conference season now, and we've already started populating 2026. Actually, we've been doing that for quite some time. So we can hop off of that, but I just wanted to share that I do encourage you to hop to our homepage and scroll down to the very bottom. There is a place where you can sign up for the Black Fox Brief. And we'll hop back to the slides. And next slide. Work with us. Yes. So we exist to serve missions like yours. We literally made this open source plug and play because we know most NGOs, if 90, if not 95%, could never afford a firm like Black Fox Global. And yet you might be thinking, this is really great, but we just want you to do it. We want experts to come in at a high level and just execute. So we work in our fundraising accelerator and transformers. That's sort of our outsourced fundraising department of sorts. And it includes all of our services in one all-in package. And it is powerful infrastructure, it's comms assets, grant templates, but again, where the rubber hits the road is we're actually taking on your email address and reaching out to funders on your behalf as an extension of your team. So you're spending your time being funder facing or responding to grant invitations or LOIs that we're securing for you, also strategic advisory. So that's the all-in, but each of those services are also on a stand-alone basis. So the accelerator is 7-month intensive on our side. And for those who need longer runway, the transformer is 12 months. So that's where there's a founder transition, or you're going for big bet, or there's some bold moves and you just need fundraising handled at a high expert level. And so that's the transformer is the 12-month version. Both you would leave with a robust infrastructure for a fundraising engine that is powerful long past our engagement. It's not a dependency model by design. We do have ongoing retainers, but mostly we're trying to resource you to be as effective and independent as possible in getting the money you need to do your work in the world. And so you'll get that slide. And then the next slide, I think we are turning it back over to Catalyst now. So because of time and caffeine, I did get through that much faster than I thought. So if there are any questions, actually, I don't know, Cindy, if you want to kind of go through this and then at the end, I can field questions. We did carve out 75 minutes. I'm committed to being present here for you. So maybe Comey, go through what you need to go through.
Yes. So
And as you want. Yes. Hi.
yeah, so until maybe some of the participants might gather their
Okay.
opinions on what they want to ask, we can
Mhm.
quickly run through the upcoming sessions and kindly ask you to fill out this poll. So just please take a minute or two to fill out the poll. It really helps us to shape the upcoming sessions and see what you preferred, what you did not, and just get better. So in terms of upcoming sessions, we mentioned the one on fundraising masterclass. So the last session will be on October 28th. On the Q&A with Natalie and Black Fox. So register to that and prepare your questions in advance also for that session. Additionally, we have two sessions that we would like to promote with you and to invite you to join. The first one is the one on the book launch of Ned Breslin. It's called Praise Song, Delivering Food on the Ukrainian Frontline. So it is a little bit different from what we are hearing here on the fundraising masterclass, but I guess that it's a really important topic that we would all love to have you in there. And secondly, another really requested sessions are those ones in AI. So join Jacob Banks, the CEO of Relay App, on another engaging session. And this one, it's mostly focused for those who are on the western part of the world, as we did another one previously in August for the other ones. So yeah, with that being said, let us know or raise your hand or open the mic if you have any question for Natalie. And yeah, that was all from my side.
Great. And I dropped in chat the link to
Yeah,
all of the resources in one place, and then including the slides.
yeah, we will share that also. I see Kitty has her hand up, so you can go ahead and ask.
Oh, yes, 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 Kitty. Hello.
Hi, Natalie. Thanks, Cindy. I have a question, which is, if you're recruiting new board members, how would you go about sort of figuring out those that can be most useful to you in terms of fundraising? What
Ooh la la.
strategies?
Right. Oh my goodness. Oh, I have to dust off my 2019 guide. But first of all, understanding their heart for the work and their commitment. I was on the board with a man who was also in the Children's Hospital of Colorado. And he said, I'm a really good board member, but I am nothing like the board members who have had sick children at the hospital, who have walked those halls for months. So is it really theirs to do, or is it glamour? Do they just want their name on a roster? And so, and then, and I'm just riffing here, but as well, what is their capacity to give? And how upfront are you in having the conversation? This is a give and get board, like pillar of strength. This is a give and get board. This is what it looks like. Many board members give it this, some stretch to do this. Where do you see yourself? So there's a way to even have that choreography around, but you're getting the commitment up front. It's not ever, ever wishy-washy. And also, what else are they willing to do? Host gatherings, open their networks, any number of things. But that upfront contract. So in leading the donor dance, we call it an upfront contract. There's an upfront contract in onboarding board members as well. And so being very explicit, very clear. And if you're like, oh, but I'll lose them if I'm that clear, it's like, well, why do you want them if it's going to be wishy-washy? Or if they're going to be able to play hide and seek with give and get? So very clear. It also really helps to have the board chair in those meetings, but it's a courtship. You're not sure you want them, right? Like you're going in there with an energetic signature of, is this ours to do or not together? And so being really powerful and strong in knowing that your mission is doing really, really powerful work and deserves and is worthy of the very best committed board members, including, I would even ask questions like, okay, of the boards that you serve on, what's the greatest giving amount that you give? Oh, 50,000. What would it need to look like for us to be at your number one spot? Oh, it would need to look like this, this, and this. Right. So again, there's court. So you can maybe put leading the donor dance into AI and say, okay, I'm about to have a meeting with a potential board member. What's the choreography? These are my objectives. This is what I want the outcome to be. And the outcome isn't I want them to say yes. The outcome is I want to make sure this is really ours to do and they're committed in these and these and these ways. So I haven't done a choreography for that. But I'm kind of giving you a cheat sheet around getting to that. Does that help? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, very much so. Thank
Okay,
you.
good. Good.
We also do have two other questions on the chat. The first one
Oh,
is
super.
the first one is from Julie. She says, "Can you make your donors board members?"
Can you make oh my god, absolutely, absolutely. In fact, this strengthening funder relationships is, that's one of the questions. What would it need to look like for you to join our board? Under what circumstances would you deepen your engagement by serving on the board? Right? So there's language for that. But if they're desirable board members, yes. Um, yeah. Part of me was like, oh, but you would better make sure your board's tight and good and clean, because if they're like your biggest funder and they're like, what is this hot mess that I'm walking into? Like, you might want to clean things up a bit. But if you also have the deep level of trust with a funder and just say, we're really in struggle around this and this and this. And I noticed that in your board service over here, I noticed that's your zone of genius. What would it need to look like for you to come in an advisory capacity? Or an advisory boards can be the pipeline to the board, or well, now I'm getting more complicated, but anyway, but having those conversations in a way that's highly relational. What would it need to look like? Thank you. And I noticed that on you're on board, you serve on the boards here, here, and here. What is it about those missions that make you care so deeply enough to serve on the board? Well, that those organizations do this, this, and this. So they just told you why they would join a board, what their values are. Again, it all goes back to choreography and exploration around partnership. Um, does that help? Does that answer the question? I can riff more.
And I think there is a follow-up on that from Kiri as well. She says, would that not create conflicts of interest that might rule you out of from funding from the foundation?
Oh, so sorry, I was still in major gifts head. Ooh, good question. I was thinking of an individual. I do not know that off the top of my head. Um, Donna Francois just popped to mind because she would know. I actually don't know that off the top of my head. Um, I'll have to circle back on that one. So we'll pin that question. Uh, and I know from the boards I've served on, the bylaws look different every single one. Um, so I can't responsibly answer that in a blanket way anyway. But generally speaking, I can't even responsibly answer it in a generally speaking way either.
Then from Bridget, we have another question. She says, when you say open source, what exactly does that mean?
Okay, so open source meaning whenever we do something for a client, like I was helping a client become big bettable one year. And so after the deliverable was delivered, I then took all that research, a massive, massive amount of research, and wrote it into a guide of how to become big bettable. It was scrubbed of that client specific information. But as I said, and this is pulling back the veil a little bit. One of the reasons I started Black Fox was it's a very frustrated funder that I didn't have enough money to have the impact that I wanted to have in the world. So Black Fox is a proven, my theory of change, 1,000,000,000x, that I can mobilize far, far, far more resources through a fundraising firm and being an extension of our clients' teams. And yet, as I said, most organizations really cannot afford us. And since my driver for starting the firm wasn't empire building, it was more around impact. From day one, we've been open source. And so you'll see a lot of teachings can be sort of half content, half marketing. Now you have to work with us. Every time my team does a webinar or a masterclass, it's like hold nothing back and make it as plug and play as possible. People do not have time to take the theory and apply it to their organization, give them an 80% head start, if not more. So that's kind of the open source ethos that Black Fox, that's part of our original DNA. Thank you for asking. It's fun to actually get to talk about that. And as I said, we've been going at a much more rapid clip this year. It's been an intense year. Let's see, any
Now, I saw Chance had her hands up, but I don't know if, yeah.
Oh, Chance, yes.
Bon, bonjour à tous.
Bonjour.
Oui, moi, je pose une question par rapport à le français. Alors, je ne sais
Oh,
pas si dans la réunion, il n'y a pas moyen de chercher un interprète pour essayer d'écouter sérieusement puisque nous avons du mal à comprendre, à écouter l'anglais. Et maintenant, est-ce qu'il n'y a pas moyen, à la prochaine fois, de faire une réunion avec un
Ah,
interprète, quoi.
okay.
Oui,
Chance, yeah, thank you.
oui,
And thank
moi,
you,
je suis
Kitty.
en République démocratique du Congo.
Mm, mm.
Je suis le coordonnateur d'une organisation dénommée AASF, où nous faisons l'accompagnement psychosocial au niveau de la zone occupée par les groupes armés, la M23, au niveau de la RDC. Et maintenant, je ai participé à la réunion et je suis membre de Catalyst RDC. Voilà
Yeah,
un peu ma proposition que je voulais donner à cette grande conférence. Je suis très heureux de vous contacter aujourd'hui.
okay, thank you, Chance. I still speak French like a toddler. I speak toddler French, so I'm grateful to Kitty for that. And I do think that Zoom does have a feature, a translation feature, but that's actually a Catalyst Now question more than a me question. Um, mm, So we can circle back on that, Chance, but I think that Zoom has a translation feature. No, Black Fox does not do fiscal sponsorships. There are so many incredible fiscal sponsorships out there. In fact, Kadi Silla of Myriad USA is here on the call, so I recommend them. There's Panorama Global, there's Tides, there are many, many really, really incredible organizations that are doing fiscal sponsorships. We have a blog post on that, on fiscal sponsorships. We may do another one.
Any last question that someone has before we close up?
I'm just so happy to see familiar faces and new faces. It really, I know I just want to I just want to screenshot everybody. Donna with your big smile and your laugh, and Karen, Sophie. So good to see everyone. Yeah, so if there's any last questions, it's just always an honor to teach. This is the culmination of many, many
Oui.
years. of-
Bon, moi aussi, je peux me présenter. C'est Monsieur Alexis Mumba.
Well, yeah, this is not a French session, unfortunately, but there will be other opportunities for you can join. Steve, go ahead.
Yeah, Steve, yay.
Hi, great to see you, Natalie, and thank you so much for a wonderful session. I took so many notes, my fingers are sore. The perennial question, which we all struggle with, is that I have is just ideas on engaging board members. Obviously, a lot of what you laid out is very actionable, and it really speaks to people where they are. At the same time, life gets in the way, and I've found over the years that running boards, people are passionate, but they just don't end up doing what they've said they want to do, that moves them, that they're committed to do. And this is all pro bono work on boards, or they're donating money. And so how do we help them do what they actually do want to do when life gets in the way?
Yeah, amazing question. Thank you. I think sitting down and having real talk, like what are the barriers? What's getting in the way? Is it a capacity issue? Are there ways we can quarterback you? Are there ways we can support you? And also it also depends on what is their commitment. So it could be serving on a committee, it could be there being a fundraiser. So it really depends, but
Sure.
just really just real talk, like what's the barrier? Like we know, and I would even start with what inspired you to become engaged in the first place? Help them reconnect to their why.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you care as deeply as we do, and we know it matters. And what's at stake is this and this. So, how can we support you in helping us unlock X, Y, or Z? And so, some of our board members, so you can give examples, some of our board members really just need quarterbacking. Some of our board members need X. Some other high functioning boards, you can some other boards function like this, and how they do is that. So now you're bringing in a third party, high functioning board to say, some of the best boards I've seen do it this way. Is this something that so basically it's just having that conversation, and anchoring them back into their why they're there in the first place, revisiting why it matters, what's at stake, and what is the barrier. If they have a sick child at home, there's nothing you can do but give grace. If they're right. But if it's like, oh, I'm on 7 boards, you need to know they're on 7 boards. Like, what are they doing on your board?
Right.
Right. And if they're not committed at a high level, then that spot can belong to someone else. If they're a massive funder and it's glamour, they just want their name on a masthead, know that, name that. And if they're still running the checks, okay, but maybe they're not going to do the next big thing.
Right.
But I don't want you spinning your wheels or guessing or playing hide and seek with folks. We're all grown-ups and the world's on fire. And so to just say, look, this is, and name it, just name it. Like,
no, that's great. Life's too short, and most boards that I've been on do try to be clear about expectations, but I really like bringing people back to why did they even want to be with the organization in the first place, and that can then get their own wheels turning to say, well, that's great, but I can't, or I just need to figure out how to do it, and offer the support is really a great way to do it versus just sort of following up saying, hey, you didn't do your task. That's no fun.
Yeah. Well, and you could even put strengthening funder relationships through AI, through a board lens as well. Like, on a scale from 1 to 10, how important is this mission to you? Like,
right.
I mean, now I'm just riffing, so don't, like, I would probably refine that. But like, oh, you're a 7. Well, what would make it 10? Oh, you're a 3. You're a 3, say more. So,
Right.
well, originally a 10, but a 3 because this and this and this happened within the organization. It's like, oh, that's amazing. Like, no, like you didn't know that they were feeling political or resentful, or that they weren't recognized. They didn't get the ego biscuits they thought they were going to get on the board.
Right.
Whatever it is. So, but being able to just lean in, like lead with curiosity and care and go, we both care deeply about this mission. How can we move forward together or not?
Exactly. Right. Great. Thanks so much, Natalie.
Yeah. Oh, my pleasure. Always a pleasure, Steve.
Likewise.
So 2 minutes left. Oh, okay. I think we're good. Well, again, always an honor to teach. Thank you for joining in today. There will be a recording, there'll be a guide, there'll be all the things. So we'll Catalyst and I will get those things out to all of you. And thank you for joining in. And we wish you so, so well in engaging your board in such an energizing, exciting way. So thank you guys.